everybody. We're back. It's 2025 and we're still live streaming, so you've got to put up with us, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, that's the way it goes. But yes, we're back, and you'll notice something is missing. Mick's having a day off. Can you believe it? What the cheek of it. I mean, time off. Anyway, lucky for me, that means that I have Anne Williams all to myself to have a chat today. But I also mean they've got to do the bells and whistles. So if you see me looking down and things like that, then that's me just clicking stuff. So yes, Anne is going to be talking to us today about something that we're actually going through a little bit of at the moment, more of a name and accountancy sort of changes. We're going to be talking about change, business change. So we're going to be having a chat. Anne's going to give us a quick presentation, but, well, you're going through quite a business change at the moment as well, aren't you?
Yes, well, exactly. So, well, first of all, thank you for having me today, Gareth. So, yes, I mean, changes in business happens every day of the week, but it's how we actually respond to them. So I set up my business just over 4 years ago. Absolutely love being self-employed, love running my business, but my God, I mean, the learning curve over the last 4 years is, it's pretty steep. But it's then drawing on what you do well and what you've really enjoyed. So I'm now in the process of changing my business from, it was traditional mentoring. But I have then looked at a lot of people who come to me for advice are startups or micro businesses, and both of them have they have a problem. So the startups don't really have the money or want to give the money to having the business advice, but they need it in order to start right. And the micro businesses are very time poor because quite often it's a one-man band, or there might be two of them, but you're doing all the doing. So yes, I know. So, and as a business owner, you need to wear so many hats. So how do you cover everything? And that was when last year I developed, together with an American software company, who developed an app. So it's got two platforms. One is for startups. So it's called Off to a Good Start, and it basically is task driven, so people can do it on their own. So there is a button you can click and have half an hour with me, because I don't want anybody to get stuck. But there's a lot of articles and videos we'll be pleased to hear, just to make it sort of come alive. So it's not a checklist. It's not going, yes, I've done this, now I've done this, now I've done this. It's literally to try to understand what is the logic behind why are you doing what you're doing. And it starts off with a company form. What is the right company form for you? A lot of people again come to me to say, well, I've got a limited company.
Yeah.
And I always say to them, it's like, well, why? I mean, because there's a lot of things. It's a bit deceptive because it's quite easy to set up a limited company. I mean, I did it when I started, and I think it took me about 5-10 minutes on Company's House.
Yeah, that's right.
And I paid £13 at the time. I think they've just put the price up now, but it's still affordable, and then within 5-10 minutes you are a director of a limited company.
That's right. Well, that's the change that we're going through at the moment, because we were a partnership. When I did IT as a previous business, basically I was straight in there, limited company, you know, and it was like kind of, I think, my first mistake. But when Mick and I set up Clockwork Eye, we said, well, we'll just be a partnership. We don't need to be a limited company. But then we're now in the situation where we've set up a limited company for the training element of the business, because the video production stuff was just me and him. But now we have the training element and the club and everything. Obviously, it's easier to sell a limited company in the future than it is to actually sell a partnership. So that's kind of what I'm going through at the moment, is just all of the bloody paperwork and yeah.
But it's also, if you start having different streams in your business, then it's good to protect them, because I mean, when you first start off and you sort of diversify your business, or you start setting up a different arm, if it's not successful, then it could impact your existing business. But if it's two separate, you can keep it separate. Obviously, I'm not advising that, for every diversification you start a new company. But if it's something which is, I mean, one of my clients, for example, is in hospitality. You know, he owns a cafe, and then he started a deli. But it's then, because of the startup costs and everything else, it's should we then have two separate companies?
Yeah.
So it's questions, but it's questions to ask yourself. And this is one of the things that the app does. It just gets you to have a look so critically at what is it you're doing, what is the goal, what is it you want to achieve. For the existing businesses, it's also understanding how can you make sure that you protect what you already have.
Yeah.
At the same time as expanding.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things I go through is a cash flow forecast. I know a lot of people going, oh no, I don't need one of them. But I mean, it is really, really good practice to do it. And it's a bit of an eye opener, because obviously within a business, you'll also have some expenses that you not pay immediately. It's not like when you draw a salary, you get the money in, and then you pay your mortgage or your food and your utilities and everything else, and then hopefully at the end of the month you have some money left. But the money you have left is yours.
Yeah.
But as a business owner, you have corporation tax, you have maybe national insurance, you have if there's rent, any software you might be needing, any other investments, and if you're over the threshold, you'll have VAT as well, and VAT is every 3 months. So you need that cash in the business. It's not to say, oh, I've just been paid £1,000 for this job. I'm going, oh, I can go out and spend £1,000. Or no, the tax man wants his cut, and somebody else wants the cut.
I heard a saying recently, which was, a penny found is more valuable than a penny earned.
Yes.
It's very true, because everybody wants a piece of the penny you earn.
Absolutely. Like, yes.
It's all yours.
Yes. So it's things like that, because I mean, there is a bit of a problem in this country. I don't think it's unique to this country, but it's very easy to set up a business, but it's also, unfortunately, quite easy to fail. And I do think if with the app, even if it is that people come onto the app, it's subscription based and month on month, so you can leave at any time. So even if you go through all the different aspects and going, no, do you know what? I don't think I'm going to start my own business, because that's like hard work. Well, then you've saved somebody the heartache, of actually going through that whole motion. So it's just so that people go into that journey with their eyes open of what it actually is. And for the micro businesses, I mean, it's very easy to suddenly sort of get pulled along and going, oh yeah, no, I'll just go down this route. And then forget about why you actually started the business, what it is that your core product, what is it people know you for? Yeah.
So, it's like you said, though, at the end of the day, I said we started in 2011. We've been going to 13 and a half years. I always throw the half in because 13's unlucky. So basically, the amount of change that we've gone through, where we've, I mean, people talk about the first couple of years being the hardest and stuff like that. Our fourth year was diabolical. It was absolutely awful.
Yeah.
Got to the point where I was pacing at night, and trying to work out what the heck are we doing wrong, But he does. It goes like I say to people that I meet who are just starting up, and I say, at the end of the day, you'll be told statistics about failure and all the rest of it, and you'll be told most businesses fail, this, that, and the other. But in reality, I take every year and I just go, oh, good, there's another one, because you only have to look at BHS and Woolworths and the others, hundreds of years and still failed.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, but yeah, funnily enough.
Change.
Yeah, funnily enough, mentioning those names, what was the one thing they didn't do? They never
adopt change.
Yeah, they didn't change. Yeah. So
Blockbusters is another one,
Yeah.
No, nobody will ever want to have streaming service. No.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Denmark, and obviously Lego is our biggest brand name. Yeah. But I still remember going through because Lego didn't think that video gaming was going to, it was not going to happen. They went, no. People want the touch and feel and funny little bricks. Yeah. And then obviously their sales just nosedived. Yeah. But they were clever enough to figure it out as it was starting to go, right, okay, okay, now stop. Yeah. We need to change tack here.
Yeah.
So, and that's the clever part. I mean, because you can always have a goal. You should always have goals, but it's how you get there where you can benefit from being flexible. Yeah. Lego's just gone from strength to strength. So I'm not saying everybody needs to be a Lego, but yes, it's how you do it. Yeah.
But it's not only changes within yourself or your circumstances, like, you mentioned taking on employees and stuff like that. It's big change. But there's also spanners that get thrown into life, such as the likes of COVID. Yes. Which is a complete spanner in the works, and nobody really expected that.
Yeah.
But you have to adapt. We adapted. We started doing training, which actually led to us having the training business.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, that from that came something good.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I started my business in 2020. So, nice. So obviously, the mentoring I was doing was all online, and that was learning. I've got a psychology background as well, and one of the things that they talked about at one point was all these sort of because obviously when you got on screen, everybody was in a different part of their house or whatever, and a lot of people thought, well, as an icebreaker, they would start to comment. Yeah. And going, oh, I love that painting behind you. Oh, I like that. Or what's that? But what they forgot was that the other person has actually not invited them to start commenting. It's not like they are physically in their home. So for a lot of people, that was like it turned them off and going, no, we can't talk that. So so mentoring, and because mentoring and business advice, you need to earn people's trust because you need to be that trusted advisor because it's personal. We've all started businesses, but even if you're a senior leader, you've worked really hard to get to that point. Okay. So if you get somebody coming in going, oh, what's that? Yeah, I don't like that, whatever. It doesn't break any ice. It actually just builds the ice even thicker. So yes, but then obviously when COVID restrictions lifted, I then had to sort of pivot my business and going, right, okay, so how do I start introducing meeting face to face? And where do you meet? Yeah. So because I thought, well, should I have an office? And I thought, well, I cover quite a big area. So, would I then pull people out of their business and them traveling all the way just to see me in my office? So I decided, no, the way that I was going to come to people, or the question was always, if we meet in person, because I've kept, I can do hybrid, I can do online, but if we meet in person, where do you feel comfortable talking about your business?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, so I have met in hotel lobbies. I have met in offices, like rented offices, on site. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so, but it's just adding that flexibility. But that's one of the things as an advisor, you need to be trusted, and that is what I always work from that point. But yes, I mean, so talking about change in business, I'm not just talking about it. I'm doing it.
You're living it.
Yeah, exactly.
Living it.
Because yes, I mean, my background is corporate, is asset finance, and it was very good. I mean, I've established businesses within financial services, and so I got very varied experience. But a lot of people would say, well, I mean, how can you then help my little one-man band? And I went, because I can, because what I focus on is how you run your business and what changes you want to make to your business. If you have aspirations, I'm the one person you can talk to about, and I would give you advice on what would the impact be. And you mentioned before, in order to expand, does it mean hiring people? Well, what does that then mean for the business owner or the founder? Because obviously then they're going to be handing over part of what they're doing to somebody else. Yeah. How do you do that? And how do you feel about it?
Letting go.
Yeah. I can see you're already saying accountancy, somebody else can do that.
Yeah, it would be nice, but I think sometimes I'm a little bit too much of a control freak.
But you think, but a lot of us are, because it's our business. And again, it comes back to being personal. Yeah. I mean, I've seen clients, they've hired somebody and they wanted like a mini me. So they wanted like a double up. Yeah. You are not going to hire yourself. So that's not going to happen. So yes, so it's things like that needs to be. So it's not just change in business or where I'm coming from. It's not just going, oh yes, I'll just launch this other product or service. Is how does it impact everything else, and what is the impact on you? Yeah. And so
it's funny. My problem is, I say letting go is, I'm one of those. If it needs doing, I just get on with it, and I can't put things off or anything like that. So it's easier in my head for me just to get on with it than it is to try and outsource it and explain it to somebody. Because then basically I'm like, well, no, I'll just get on with it, and it's done then, isn't it? So yeah. Anyway, you've got a presentation.
I do. Yes. I can see you're rearing to see my little.
Yes, I want to have a look at this presentation. I haven't seen it yet, so no. I will put your screen on.
Okay.
So we should go to your screen now. There we are.
Okay, and I think I can move it. Can I?
yeah. You control your PowerPoint.
Okay.
So if you do your next slide, let's check it out.
There we go.
I will mute myself, and I'll leave you to do your thing.
Thank you very much. So I mean, I have to say I love this quote. Nothing is constant except change. It also shows, because it's from the ancient Greek, don't ask me which one, but it just shows this is not a new thing. I mean, we quite often talk about, especially in recent years, change. Well, we had COVID. Yes, well, even the ancient Greeks, even if they didn't have COVID, had something else. So change is something that we need to deal with in our businesses and in our lives, but it's how we deal with it. Also, as I touched on in our conversation, is it separate? So personal change, is that separate from business change? And how do we actually sort of tie it together? Because there will often be, in a business setting, whatever change you're making, it will have a personal impact. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you are a big business or a very small business or a medium-sized business. It's anyone. I mean, in corporate, for example, if you're changing departments or setup, it will impact people personally. So it's not just for small businesses, it is business overall. So my advice is obviously to work on both of them with a trusted advisor, such as myself. So trusted advisors are, I mean, come in many shapes and sizes. And you will have coaching, you will have mentoring, you will have advising, but it's finding the one that can go with you, dare I say, on a journey. So somebody who you can relate to as a business owner. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you come with the same background. My clients, they range from, I mean, very different industries. I've had retail, I've had hospitality, recruitment, gardening. I mean, you name it, it's all been in there. But I'm also still working in the sort of financial services sphere as a consultant. But again, consultant, advisor, yes, it's sort of two sides of the same coin, really. So with change, a lot of it is around communication. So, and this can happen on very different levels, but it's understanding that you have everybody on board. Because if you as a business owner are deciding, right, okay, I'm going to launch an additional product or service, it's not just affecting you. It's not just your decision. It is, you need to understand exactly what is changing and also just tell the world what is changing. Because in your business, you will have existing customers. And if you are launching another product, which is, it might not be complementary to what you're already offering, then you need to understand what the impact will be on your current clients and customers. So then working within that business to make sure that it's managed. So if it is that you are, say, a medium-sized business and you're diversifying. So, well, to your point, Gareth, so you have the video editing, and then next to that you have the training and your video club. So, but it's understanding that you needed to have the resources to make sure that you could service both.
Yeah.
And also understanding how would it work? What channels are you going to be working with? How do you work with marketing? Can you utilize some of the existing marketing that you've already got for the editing to add on the training? That's what I mean by working within the business to manage the change. Because if you're changing, it's not just it's almost like starting a new business, but you are working within an existing framework, if that makes sense. And then, to my point, it is manage that effect on the change on a personal level. It's just understanding, what does it mean for me? If I'm changing my business, what does it do for my position? You say for me personally, so I'm changing my business slightly, so I'm still in the advisor space, but it's changing. So because I've got the app, so where am I going to talk to the startups? Where am I going to talk to the micro businesses? And is it me that's going to be doing all of it? Or can I rely on social media, or will I maybe need to hire somebody to do some advertising for me? So that's what it means. Also, with the changes on a personal level, it is whether you're still within your own comfort zone. And I have to say, when I sort of set up the app, and I was doing the videos, that was taking me out of my comfort zone. I will be very honest. It certainly did. But the first one that I did, I think it took me about 2 hours. It's only 2 minutes long, but I kept umming and ahhing and losing my track, and it was not good. So after that, I was ready to throw in the towel. But I reached out to you, Gareth, as part of the club, and said, right, okay, I need a little one-to-one here. This is my problem. How can I work with it? So, but because basically all your advice, and it wasn't that I was going to give it to you to do, but all your advice to put me at ease, to say, right, okay, but this is how I'm going to manage this, so that I can be back in my comfort zone.
Yes.
So,
but you are the very reason we put the club together and the training. So it's basically to help people exactly in that position that you were in.
Yes. And it worked perfectly.
Thank you.
So, so obviously, I mean, if you're setting up and running a business, it's a major transition. There is, I mean, and we've spoken about it, Gareth. So, I mean, the learning curve of running your own business is, I mean, it's so steep. And sometimes it's also just to sort of stop and reflect and going, my God, what have I learned? And that's one of the things that I have actually just done, is actually understanding what is it that I've learned over the past years. We're setting up the app. I have an avenue to help startups and micro businesses without it carrying a major price tag, but it makes sure that the advice is there for the people who want it. So reinvention is also change. And you could say, I mean, I certainly didn't start out my business by thinking that I was also going to set up an app. I think nothing was further from my mind, but understanding what it is that you're out there to do. And what I'm out there to do is actually help people and support people running their businesses as efficiently as possible, and also make sure that they actually achieve the goals that they've set themselves. So yes, and as I said before, it's just changing what is required of you. So think about that comfort zone. So I've dealt with some startups, for example, who said, yeah, well, I love what I do, but I don't really want to be, I'm not a salesperson. So, well, that's probably one of the biggest hats that you need to carry as a solopreneur. Yes, but it's then understanding how can you then get it to market. If you don't want to go out and be selling things face to face, is it something that, well, could you rely on marketing, or is there other people you can sell it to, or so it's all part of a bigger picture. So there's so many levers when running a business that you just implementing a change is not just pulling on one of them, because something else will also be impacted. So so this is just to show it's not just, as I said, I'm not just talking the talk, I walk the walk as well. So I mean, I'm transitioning my business. So I started out as part of a franchise. It was right for me. And it was a really great start, because it took a lot of things off my hands. Like I didn't need to build a website. I had people in my network that I could talk to immediately. And it was really, really beneficial for me. Obviously then you start working, and you're start learning as you go along. As I said, I come across a lot of startups, a lot of micro businesses, and I see them coming to me for my complimentary session, and I see them writing down advice. I mean, complimentary session is about an hour to an hour and a half. and I do give advice that people can take on. It's not an hour and a half of sales pitch. So yes, it's something people can use, but I just felt these people are not going to come back to me because either it's the price tag for face-to-face advisory service, or they don't see that they have time. But I just thought, no, but there's so much more that you should be considering than what you've just been told in an hour and a half. So so I went on to the app and the videos. I needed to call them out especially because to me it's probably one of the biggest victories that I've had, that I've nailed them. Well, I think I've nailed them. I mean, I'm not Steven Spielberg. I mean, I won't be filming anything, but no, I get my point across and I can do captions, and my editing is probably a little bit dodgy, but anyway, it's there. And I've also then found that my old industry, I've been working as a consultant. So because it's asset finance is quite a sort of small industry. There's quite a few players, but we do tend to know each other. And I really enjoy it. I never left my old industry because I didn't like it. I left it because I wanted to do something else and try something else, which is building on what I'd done in the industry, which was creating departments and institutions. So so now here I am in front of you as AW Business Solutions. So so making business advice available at every stage in your business and for every size of business.
Lovely. Excellent. Is that the slideshow over?
So there we go. So yes, I just wanted to keep this one up. So there is just obviously there's a QR code. There is I'm still doing the complimentary sessions. So that's that's it, and that's me. There's never any pressure to go on. So but I do have a passion for a passion for business.
Good stuff. I'm going to just share your information here. Don't forget, I'm doing all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. Well, you're a very busy man.
I can't get it to share. There we are. It did it. Press return, Gareth. That was really good. You mentioned about the learning curve. I often think that people call it a curve, but it's more of a hamster wheel. Because no matter how far you think you've got up it, it's still there. Maybe I should coin that as the learning hamster wheel.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I often talk. I mean, because it is literally up and down. I mean, I think. Yeah. I mean, I still remember. I said the 10th of September 2020, and I sat in front of my laptop, and I had some new Post-it notes. I do love some stationery. Pens were ready. And I was literally going, right, okay, that's it. I'm open. Everybody just come here now. Well, obviously, the phone didn't ring. And there was no emails in my inbox. And I'm going, right, oh, yeah, no, I need to go out. And then starting networking. Yes, and it's just, but after the first month where I still didn't have my first client, and you just sit there going, what have I done? Oh my God. What am I doing? Yes, and it's, but I mean, again, I mean, it helped me. I was part of a franchise, so I had a mentor. I had somebody I could ring and going, what am I doing wrong? And you went, nothing. It's just,
it is the nature of the beast.
This is the nature, exactly. Yes, and I mean, for me, it was also, I mean, I wasn't known in my old industry as a mentor. I mean, I did mentoring when I was sort of managing teams and things, but I wasn't known as a mentor. So for me, it was like a complete rebrand as well. But so yes, but then getting my first client, and it was going, yes, I'm onto a winner.
Yeah. But so, I mean, and the creating of your app, I mean, that's a challenge and a half. I mean, you kind of, I
Yeah,
know from projects that I've done, and I think to myself, right, where do we start here? You're
yeah.
literally with your pencil and your piece of paper, and you're thinking, right then.
I know, but it's also, I mean, because for me, obviously, when you're sitting opposite people and you're advising them, you can sort of gauge whether you're talking at the right level, because everybody's experience is different.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that is what is not so easy with an app, because you need to make sure that even so people who've never run a business before can also understand what the message is, what it is it that you need to be doing.
yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I always advise people on, for example, when I talked about the cash flow forecast, because it's very tricky to be looking at money coming into the business and going, oh, right, okay, so I need to leave this for the taxman and this for VAT or this for my office or this for something else. And that can be quite tricky. So I always advise people on using some kind of banking solution, whether it's two bank accounts or whether it is, I think there's some other banks now that do like pots,
Yeah,
where you then,
Monzo.
transfer into pots. So it's not there. It's not sort of sitting there staring at you in the face and going, use
Spend me.
me, spend
Spend me.
me, pay
Spend me.
yourself some dividends. Will ya? Come on. So yes, but at least then you have that buffer. You
Yeah.
know that the money it's looked after, and you're not going to suddenly end up in January and going, the taxman going, yes, I would like this amount of money, and you're going, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So yes, it's but yes, I mean, I love doing the app. I really did, and I do really believe in it. I just, I think, I mean, and people I've shown to the app and sort of described it, I've also said, no, this is a lot of people, a lot of business owners have said to me, I was like, I wish this app was there when I started my business.
Wow.
So,
And it's a subscription basis, so people can sign up and they can leave any time. There's no fixed kind of
No,
period.
there's no minimum fee. There's an onboarding fee, but that's a conversation with me. It's also because I can tailor the app if there's any specific tasks. There's because one thing I'm not mentioning is hiring people, for example.
Okay, yeah.
Because for a lot of people who are starting a business, that's not an option. That's not what they're doing. But if you're opening hospitality, for example, you're going to need to have people there day one.
Yeah.
Typically. So I can add tasks into the app with advice around a given area.
Wow.
So that's part of the onboarding course, just to make sure that the person obviously understands how the app works, how it works with the calendar link into talking to me, and then off they go, and then it's just rolling monthly. So
Brilliant. It sounds very exciting. I mean, at the end of the day, I would say to anybody who's thinking about going into business, do it. Give it a go. Have a go. At the end of the day, one of my favorite sayings is, this time next year, you'll wish you started today. Okay. And that is, I'm a big fan of that saying, because quite simply, it's true. And we all tend to procrastinate, and we all tend to have self-doubt, and there's imposter syndrome and all these things that come with it. But, you know, for me, you've got to give it a go, because, you know, I did a talk at Bradford College to business students, and I started my talk off with, when you're self-employed, your boss is an arsehole. They'll pay you very little and make you work all the hours under the sun. But the rewards, I think, far outweigh, you know, the self-discipline that you have to have, and the rest of it. And I think your app sounds absolutely brilliant. It's like, it's this, if you like, I could see it being like a map, like GPS guiding you through obstacles that you've already actually encountered yourself.
Exactly. but also on a personal level, because as you said, starting up or looking at starting a business, and you've got imposter syndrome, you've got people talking in your ear, and people go, oh, no, it's really tricky, and yeah, are you sure? And yeah, there's a lot of doubt. But if you go through the app, you are covered. You have thought of all the different angles of what it is to start a business. And this is what I mean by there might be some people go through the app and going, no, there's a few things in here that I hadn't realized. Because there's also another saying is, well, if you want it so badly, why don't you have it now? So, and if you start thinking about it, I mean, I spoke to a lady not so long ago, and she was looking at starting her business, and she was going, yeah, well, I do this, but I'm a little bit limited on time. I can't do this because, well, there was children and other responsibilities. And I said to her, but the thing is, to run that particular type business, she would need to be there at least 3 working hours. And I said, but you've got other priorities.
Yeah.
So question is, why they put it on hold until your priorities change?
Exactly. Kids grow up.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And another thing that people tend to do, and I find this with video, and that, you know, the rest of it is they tend to go, oh, I really want to do that. And you say, well, why don't you do it? Oh, hang on, let me just find an obstacle to put in my way. I'd like to put this obstacle because of this. And then you're like, well, no, because I'll take that obstacle out of your way. Yes. Oh, well, now I need another one. And it's like they really want, they want to, but there's something holding them back, and maybe it's a bit deeper seated fear and all the rest of it. But I would say to anybody who's thinking about going self-employed, go for it. I don't know about the people out who are watching who are self-employed themselves, if they would say go for it, or if they would say, no, whatever you do, don't do it. Oh, no.
Stop. Yeah. No, I'm the same. I mean, I have to say, I mean, part of me was saying, oh, why didn't I do this before? But again, I mean, in my corporate life and whatever, I've built up all that experience, which I'm now benefiting from. And so had I started my business earlier, I wouldn't have had the same experience. So you, I mean, but I've certainly never regretted actually doing it. So love it.
You have to have had traveled the road that you've traveled to be where you are now. So, you know, if you'd have taken a different turn or somewhere down the line, you don't know where you'd be, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. You know, if it's something that you're thinking about doing, then do it. That's what I say.
Yes.
Anyway, that was fabulous, Anne. I put your contact info in.
That's lovely. Thank you. And to anybody listening, I mean, please, connect, reach out, even if it might not be the right time right now. But yes, I'm there.
Good stuff. Just to let everybody know, we've mentioned the club a few times and stuff, and everything else, but we do hold webinars which are free. We do sector specific ones as well. And this Friday, I thought it was on Friday today. Oh my God, I'm wishing my life away. This Friday, the 31st, not only are Wales playing France in France at 8 o'clock, which I'm kind of dreading. You know, rugby's come back around. But we're at 12 o'clock, we're running a webinar for charities, video marketing for charities, the what, the how, the where of video marketing. So essentially, if you do know a charity, or if you are a charity, by all means, let people know, because it's free. I've put the link to book into the information there. If you are interested in finding out more about creating videos, then, you know, by all means, feel free to get in touch. We've got our Video Creators Club, and we've also got our webinars, workshops, etc. And you can basically come along, book a one-to-one with us on our website, and we'll have a chat. It's a free mentoring hour that we do. But yeah, so Anne, thank you very much. That was actually quite an interesting conversation. We normally aim for half an hour. We got 45 minutes out of you.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
Just goes to show it's flowing. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, any last words of advice?
Not really, other than get in touch, even if you are considering any change. Just get in touch and just have a. I mean, yeah, it's always good to talk. So yeah, and you never know where it can lead to. I mean, I talked to Gareth in a networking group, and 6 months later I was doing videos.
Well, that's good stuff. So yeah, well, thank you again. And yes, if you're out there and you are interested in getting started, I definitely have a word with Anne to kind of put you on the right path and get that app, GPS app, the one that will guide you through all the pitfalls.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, Anne, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, and thanks everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.